I've just been wanting to have jewelry pieces to sew. Confusing as of late, knowing what I should put my time towards. Hello, welcome to the new and improved jewelry setup and studio. I think the last time you saw me working on my jewelry desk, it was on the other side of this studio room slash office space. And it was just feeling really cramped, and I wanted to center a piece of furniture that I had on that wall over there, which I've done. It feels so much better, and now this jewelry space has a space. And so I'm gonna get to work. I have been wanting to finish these pieces for a hot minute, and so I'm gonna try and do a bit of that. I've been working on these earrings that, yeah, they hang down. Although I kind of want them to be hanging in this way. These ones are brass and silver, and I'm gonna get after it. I just have so much stuff here that I really need to use and be done with. And so it's the time. The time is now. I've just been wanting to have jewelry pieces to sew again. And so here we are, doing the jewelry thing. I'm gonna try and make these 3 earrings. I'm gonna try and finish these hairpins and make a bunch of ear cuffs. For those of you that have never made this kind of jewelry before, this is metal smithing, and I actually learned it when I was pregnant. Me with our child was going through some mega transitions and transformations, and I wasn't sure what the new direction was gonna be. This was mostly when the bus had died, and basically it needed a whole new engine, and I just didn't have the money to fix it up and put in a whole new engine. I was gonna rip the engine out and make it into storage and put a trailer hitch on it, but we didn't have a truck to tow it, so I was like, we're not doing that. And I ended up selling the bus and kind of going in a new direction, but also that was the time when Zay was like really young, and we hadn't quite finished the red pepper and hadn't quite started traveling yet. That's when I learned, when I was pregnant, at the very tail end of being prego, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I just got really obsessed with watching all of it go down, and it was just really cool to see. So that was a thing. I'm glad to be finally set back up with the studio again so that I can make jewelry. I've been thinking a lot about going back to markets, like slightly different markets than what I used to go to, only because I have limited time now. You know, I'm working on the house and so many things. Okay, time for me to zone into the music and get down with this. I'm listening to Pines. It's like rave music. If you guys are ever curious about what music I like to listen to, I have Spotify like playlists that I think are pretty much public, so you can always go and have a look and have a listen. Anyways, I'm gonna get down with this and tune in to the music and get in the zone, try and see how much of this I can get done today. Let's do this thing. All right, I wanted to give you guys a quick tour of the desk setup. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out the flow here and find what I like and what I don't like about this workspace. This isn't technically like a metalsmithing workbench. It's just a desk, but it's very similar to a metalsmithing workbench. And so I thought I'd show you around. So first up is kind of like the desk area. Combination for things that are work in progress as well as things that have been already soldered. This is how it goes. You cut the metal and then you shape it, do whatever you want with it. You file it, and then if you need to, you solder it. In these little jaws, I have what's called solder, and it's basically really thin sheets of sterling silver that's made to melt and kind of act as like a glue for the work pieces that I make that need to be kind of like closed off. So I've got extra easy, medium, hard, and then question, because I cut them up. You can get them in like wire form or you can get them in sheet form. And in hindsight, I wish I'd gotten the wire because it's much easier, but you need it to be really, really thin. And so I've been cutting off really thin slithers and then hammering it down and then using that in small pieces that I cut with just pliers. So when I'm using the like solder station, I have a charcoal block and then I also have this sort of like honeycomb guy, and basically you use what's called flux, handy flux, which helps the solder to kind of become liquid and run where it needs to run. So when you're heating it up using the torch, you are basically working to get it red hot. Not too red hot because some metals will melt, and each metal has a different melting point, so it's important that you're super aware of like how quickly it's melting. But you basically heat it up until the solder melts. For sure, that's the first thing that will melt, and then you'll see it kind of glow and it'll run and close off the seam. Once you're done with the solder, it's going to be super hot. You're going to throw it in here. This is what's called the pickle pot. It's basically just water and then like a powder form that helps to kind of clean off any of the oxidization that happens when you are soldering. So you can kind of see on this guy, this is the seam. It's not quite closed because it's really important that the joints are super flush and touching. I also couldn't get my torch to be hot enough. The flux was too dry since it's so old, so I had to add some water, and I don't know what happened to the solder. I think it melted. You can kind of see where it melted there, and it's like kind of extra silver shininess. Yeah, once you've done all that, you throw it in the pickle pot and then you can get it clean, and you'll use a Dremel to kind of do the finishing touches, polish it, smooth it out, get it perfect so that you don't see any texture from where the solder may have left like a lump or something. This is the torch. I'm working with a propane oxygen tank system. So you basically turn the propane on, light it, and all has to be at the right pressure and whatnot, but you basically light this propane and then you'll add oxygen slowly so it reaches the right kind of flame that you want. Yeah, this is the space. I have all these tools here, all these tools for using the Dremel and finishing and cleaning it all up and kind of cutting, things like that. And I've got a bunch of hammers down here for hammering textures and whatnot. Some beeswax from Justin's Bees that helps the blade to cut really smooth instead of being really rough. So I thought I'd just give you a quick lowdown of how it goes. So there's kind of a process, especially when you're doing metal smithing like this and soldering. And I'm gonna plug and play again. Big thank you to Gentle Bands for sponsoring this portion of the video. While you've seen how much time, effort, and energy it can take to make a piece of jewelry, it might give you some appreciation to the craftsmanship and attention to detail that the Gentle Band rings have. Justin chose their tungsten whiskey barrel and antler ring. This ring portrays a beautifully masculine energy with all the details and the inlays. The chawed whiskey barrel oak is a representation of the wisdom that men acquire over time, like a bottle of well-aged whiskey. Gentle Bands partners with distilleries to recycle authentic whiskey barrels to embed them into the ring. Naturally shed antlers are sourced ethically without harming any animals, radiating a powerful elk energy. The tungsten carbide has an absurd melting point of 6,191.6 degrees Fahrenheit, making it the world's most enduring metal. Talk about strength. The fusion of colors, textures, and details is a story told by one ring of a life well lived. A perfect representation of how my beloved husband sees his life day by day. In honor of our love, I had our wedding date engraved on the inside. So if you're interested in gentle bend rings and gifting your partner a ring that commemorates your love, then you can get 25% off using the promo code Juliana25. They offer free engraving services so you can hop on that personalized detail. It's a new day. Been feeling all sorts of feels as of late that I want to share with you guys, but I'm not really in the headspace to share. But there are feelings of being lost and not knowing and directionless. Still figuring things out. When I know more, I will share it with you guys. I just haven't wanted to go that way yet. So I'm making jewelry and you're really close to my face. This is a liquid called liver of sulfur. I have no idea what it's made of, but it's a gel and it's sort of like this weird black, gray, brown color, and it smells like rotten eggs. I'm gonna boil up some water and throw it in this jar. You really just need like the smallest amount, like yay much. I'm gonna pop it in there, boil the water. I'm also gonna have some tea while I'm at it, since I'm boiling water. I'll probably make this blend. I have had so many thoughts lately of bringing back so many different products that I used to have at Moonflower Child, and I haven't known if I should do those things or not. I don't know how much you guys know about like product-based businesses. They are so much work. You have to think about like where you're shipping from and like how are you keeping track of inventory and where are you getting your product from, paying taxes like sales tax and state tax and all the different taxes and all the business rigmarole that you have to pay. I think about bringing back certain products like limited to only Moonflower Child products instead of going back to buying from others again, just because I ended up really missing the creative portion of it and wanting to be able to sell to other retailers instead of just being like the only person who's selling the product. So many things I've thought about. Confusing as of late, knowing what I should put my time towards. I love working on the house, but I think we've decided to really tone it back and scale it back on how much we work on the house, because it is so exhausting and like labor intensive, and it's like really difficult to make a project start and finish like in a really short period of time. And we just have so many other things happening in life and going on, and being parents and wanting things for ourselves, and also it's expensive, you know. So that's for another reason, which means that like the less I'm intensely working on the house means I feel directionless, because I'm trying to put my focus into somewhere else and trying to really tap into where these feelings are coming from and why. It happens a lot in my life. I feel like there's so many big pivotal moments where I'm like, feel like I'm not going in the right direction, and it's almost like every year or every few years there's a big moment where I'm like, wow, what am I doing? What is my intention for living a good life, this life? And I know I've talked a little about that before, and I like in my core know what a good and intentional life means to me, but for some reason sometimes in the day I find myself not living to that full potential of making the most of each day, doing the things that are gonna be making me feel like I have purpose, you know, like I'm doing what feels the most grounding and wholesome to me. Like, how am I spending my time, and what am I doing, and who am I sharing moments with? Man, leave a comment if you feel the same way that I feel sometimes, and you feel like you had purpose at one point and now you just don't know if you align with that purpose anymore, or if like, I don't know. I think mostly in the terms of like how I'm carrying myself through life in the career space, like the job that I have that allows me to make a living for my family and I to kind of be able to have opportunity and go through life, be able to travel and adventure and buy food until we can grow a lot of our own, and, you know, pay for all the things in life. I think it's just the impact of just how expensive things are is overflowing into our space. Not that it wasn't before, it's just, you know, just being really, really aware. What is it, Odin? Look, here's Odin. Odin boy. I feel like also maybe since we're so directionless, our like energy is rubbing off on Zay, and maybe that's also why she feels a certain way lately. Okay, that was a super abbreviated, spontaneous tea time segment. So once this is poured, I have to get my jewelry in here as soon as possible, because it stays like strong for like a good, I don't know, few minutes, but that's about it. Woo. That is righteous, super ripe. So, let's see. I'm gonna just So I was hoping to be a little further along in the making of these jewels so I could share the finished video shots of all the pieces. But life is a way of getting busy in the days leading up to spring, so I have a few more things to finish. At least I can share the earrings that I'm most excited about, which are finished. If you are hoping to see more jewels on the Moonflower Child website, I would love to hear from you. I'm thinking of doing limited batch releases when I go through the jewelry making phases. So if you'd want some Moonflower jewels, let me know. The feels I have, I'm still sitting with and looking deep into my heart to figure out the direction I hope to go and where I dream of taking Moonflower Child. I'll share more when I know more. I start my month of meditations today, so I'm setting my intention to be discovering the true direction I wish to go. Until next time. Oh, and let me know if you enjoy this kind of creative video. It was really fun for me to make it. À bientôt.